Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Expansion Pass here on Watchfish Network. I'm your host and Latin Excited ADV. Joining me is Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Hello, good sir.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. I'm pretty tired, but it's okay. We got a cool topic to talk about, so I'm excited.
We went into this like way before we even talked about Power Block. Like when we started texting each other, this topic was just like it's kind of been on my mind this week because for one of the companies developers, we thought that a certain other first party would buy. So if you guys know, by the time you guys see this, Square Enix has sold off Crystal Dynamics. They sold off Eidos Montreal and Square Enix Montreal to the Embracer Group for $300 million. And they acquired their studios and associate IPs with them. And they have up to 50 other titles, like a whole bunch of games coming with them. So, and the Embracer Group is now becoming a kind of visible company in a sense. Everybody's eyes is now getting off them because we really weren't thinking about them at all. They own Saber, who also ported The Witcher 3 to Nintendo Switch. And I kind of want to ask Corey, because we did talk about this on Power Block. If you guys missed that episode, do check it out. It was a very great episode, but a very great conversation. And I kind of wanted to ask Corey, what does this say for Nintendo on Square Enix side and from the Embracer Group? Where would you like to start, Corey? Would you like to start on the Square side or the Embracer Group side?
I mean, I think we should probably start on the Square side just because we should probably let our audience know, like, what's being purchased, and like where it comes from and why it's a steal. I mean, for $300 million, I think the Tomb Raider IP alone is worth that or more.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of, at the beginning of the year, when this was not a Nintendo-related show, but just like an overall type show, we kind of talked about it was more of like a when than an if Square was going to sell its Western division, right?
Yes.
And, with the reports coming out a couple weeks ago that Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy both combined, now, I don't know which did worse, but I can probably tell you which one did worse, lost Square Enix $200 million. They're not doing very well with Babylon's Fall, right, which is Platinum, which we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't shut it down or anything, but like they've just been having like this weird kind of relationship with their Western division, right? We talk about the Tomb Raider reboot selling 7 or 8 million units and they consider that a failure, right? Where something like, what was it? Something, I think Final Fantasy 15 or something sold like 3 million units and it was considered a success or something at the time, right? And so it's just, they've had this really weird relationship with their Western division, and it's always been kind of rough to watch. And then Crystal Dynamics goes on to make the Avengers, which was not great, right? They lost, I think they reported like $100 million loss on that initially.
Yeah.
And they haven't really caught up. Guardians of the Galaxy is an amazing game, and just no marketing with it, nothing. And then they turn around and, Microsoft paid a pretty penny to put it on Game Pass, and it finally found an audience, which is great, but they lost money on that. Deus Ex hasn't sold very well, right? They've just Hitman. Remember when they had IO Interactive? They let IO buy themselves back and take the Hitman franchise, and then it became one of the biggest hits, right? And so, I think Square Enix actually has a pretty clear vision of who they want to be, and this was the chain that was dragging them back, right? Was this Western division, so to speak, right? And so they bought Eidos Montreal. They bought Square Enix Montreal. They bought Crystal Dynamics. And what was the fourth studio they bought? They bought a fourth studio. I don't remember who it is right now. But and then they also bought a catalog of IP and 50 IP, I think, which includes Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain, Gex, and what was the other one that they gave a major shout out to?
Legend of Kain, I think, like Soul Reaper.
I just said that. They've bought some pretty major IP, so pretty big steal for them. And we know Embracer Group is pretty open to letting their studios work on what they want. They don't really have high expectations. I think their biggest IP at this point is probably Borderlands, because they own Gearbox. And we know Gearbox bought the rights back from 2K, I think, or something. They did something with 2K to get the rights back.
Which is a weird conversation that, sorry, ready for the side tangent, that Randy Pitchford hasn't said nothing about Tiny Tina's.
Oh, I mean, he's not really in charge of Gearbox software anymore. Gearbox Entertainment is like this big brand now, and they have separate verticals, right? Because they're doing the Borderlands movie, and they're doing a couple other things. And I know he just bought some Magic Palace or something, so he can do magic or whatever. I don't know. He's a weird dude, but I think that Gearbox software proper is being run by somebody else, and from what I've heard, that game is actually way better than Borderlands 3 was.
Yes.
And which has me intrigued. I actually kind of want to try it out at some point. But Austin just said he just beat it on PS5. So, but Square's still publishing certain games that they have second party relationships with, right? Like they're keeping Outriders was one that they mentioned. They're still going to publish that. They're still going to publish. There's something else that they were going to publish. So I'm excited for this because Embracer Group now has a pretty substantial library of IP, right? Saints Row, Red Faction, Borderlands, Kingdoms of Amalur is a big one that I like. Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief was the other one that they shouted out. Legacy of Kain, and they like to put these games out wherever they can, right? Like the Switch has actually been getting a lot of Embracer Group things, whether you notice it or not, because their verticals are Deep Silver, Koch Media. What's the other vertical that they have? Pretty big publisher. Darksiders. Darksiders is another IP that they own that I really like.
THQ.
THQ Nordic. Yeah, thank you. They have a lot, and they kind of make Microsoft look small in terms of acquisitions, right? Because they have like, when they say 107 studios with something like 10,000 employees or something. A lot of that's mobile. A lot of it's kind of divided into different verticals, which is nice. But they own a lot, and I am excited to see what they do with these IP. We already know new Tomb Raider's in development.
Yes. I can't wait to see that on Xbox or Series X.
I really hope that Eidos Montreal kind of talks to Marvel and said, hey, we want to make another Guardians of the Galaxy game, because I know that deal was originally made with Square.
Yes.
But that game was something really special, and if you have Xbox Game Pass or you buy it, like I think it's only $30 or $20 on Amazon right now. It's really cheap. It's one of the best games I played last year, and
yeah.
So
it is weird with Guardians because I know the Adventures lost Square Enix a lot of money, but it felt like, due to the lack of marketing and due to the lack of interest, regardless of it was the cloud version of Guardians, whether it was on PS5 or Xbox One and PS4, it the gamer interest wasn't there for some reason. And you would think that as popular as the Guardians of the Galaxy has been and a lot of Marvel properties, that people will go in expecting it. But a lot of the reason that a lot of people say that that game got hurt was because of Marvel's Avengers, in a sense.
Mm.
And it's just like, cause I feel like out of their Western division, Crystal Dynamics was the strongest. They really produce. Of course, you've been talking about Tomb Raider, but those games are great across the board. So like, so what happened? In a sense, and I kind of wonder, well, if some of those guys do touch the Switch, does that go does that throw mud in Square Enix face in a
Mm.
sense?
I mean, I guess it could, but also like I don't know. I feel like Square is just done trying to cater to Western audiences. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think they want to make RPGs. I think they want to cater to, because another rumor is that now that they've offloaded their Western division, they're more appealing to purchase from Japanese companies are more like Sony. I think they're eyeing Sony to purchase them. Right. I really think so. And which would kind of not be great for Switch owners, right? Because of Bravely Default and Octopath and
Yeah.
Tokyo RPG Factories games. Like those games are all really important to the Switch ecosystem. But also, like Sony is letting Bungie kind of operate outside of the PlayStation ecosystem, right? So maybe they would do something similar. Although maybe they'll work out a deal where like, hey, your AAA RPGs are PlayStation focused, but if you want to keep making, your I Am Setsunas and your Triangle Strategies and Bravely Defaults, you can publish them on Nintendo also, right? So, I don't know. There's a lot to work out there, but I think since we're kind of just talking about the Western division, I think they're better off with Embracer Group overall.
Mm-hmm.
Just because.
Which I probably want to put another thought into your mind and get your opinion about it. But go ahead. I'll wait till you're done.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that this opens them up. It's almost like a Game Pass situation where like they will get a budget and they won't have to worry about it because Embracer Group's mobile games and other games are making them money,
Yeah.
and they can kind of siphon them into these different verticals and give them budgets and say, hey, okay, so Tomb Raider's a major IP. Here's $250 million. Make the best AAA game you can make. Oh, you want to make a new Thief game? Here's $100 million, right? And you can go do that. I think this is good overall for those studios. I know some people are concerned that that Embracer Group is kind of a European centric Microsoft in a sense where they're just buying up everything that they can get a hold of and you know monopolizing or whatever. But I think for the Western division of Square Enix, this is good. This is a good buy. They stole these studios, dude.
Oh
Like
yes.
$300 million is the budget of one AAA game.
But that was the thing about it, because Square somehow repeated said that they lost 300 million. So them getting 300 million and cash and debt free, you know, like straight cash. It was just like, so you pretty much got your money back or your expectations or something. It felt like, if you look at it logically, just through the context of the words, that you guys just really did the exchange in a sense. You lost 300, got 300 back. You really didn't gain anything, but Embracer gained like these companies and their and their IPs. And so now Embracer, because what I was going to ask you, I don't know if I wanted to say this to the end, but what if Embracer buys WB Games? Oh, you're on mute.
Why am I on mute? Why was I on mute?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, It's a possibility, but I feel like Square is a different type of company because WB is so North American centric.
Yes.
Um, and I think WB wants to be more like what Disney is doing, right? Sell off your
Mhm.
studios and just license IP out to all these different companies, right? I think that's really what they want to do. And which Disney was smart to do that. I mean, we're getting a bunch of cool Marvel and Star Wars projects. They just
Yes.
announced that Disney Dream Valley or whatever, that free to play kind of Animal Crossing like game.
Hmm.
So I think what happens with WB, I don't know. I feel like you would have to sell some IP with these studios, right? You can't sell NetherRealm without Mortal Kombat, right?
Oh, of
You can't.
course.
Like you can't do that.
But just think of that being a powerhouse of a like that becomes a major third party if they just acquire the general and all of their developers. Like
Hmm.
th- that will open up an eye to a lot of people to be like, okay, now Embracer Group, we're now paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think, I think that I feel like there would be some sort of legal thing involved at that point. I
Hmm.
know Embracer Group and Coke Media are into other things. I know they invest heavily in movie studios and television and other. They have a lot of verticals, but I mean, so
Yes.
does Microsoft, right? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with WB if those rumors are even true. But I feel like that would go to someone like Microsoft or Sony at that point, because those studios are valuable, right? Rocksteady is super valuable.
Oh, yes.
NetherRealm was super
Yes.
valuable. Even WB Montreal is showing to be pretty valuable, right? With this Gotham Knights looks awesome. Avalanche is pretty pretty great studio, right? They know how to do licensed games really well. I mean, we saw that with Cars, we saw that with Disney Infinity. We're seeing that with Harry Potter. So they could potentially be pretty valuable in a different way. So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, overall I think this Square sale is really good for Crystal Dynamics in
Right.
particular.
Yeah, because I know when we was talking about it on Power Block, we definitely were talking about now there's a possibility of getting ports of those studios games onto Switch, and maybe it is a download. Maybe it's not, no more cloud or anything, because like you said, Tomb Raider and Rise of Tomb Raider are 360 games, so they could
Hmm.
port that, and they could port that. If they was able to port down The Witcher 3 from Saber, I think they could still port down 3, uh, and still be an amazing game. It's still, because it's just I'm excited for this, and the reason why I'm excited for this, for Nintendo itself, is because now there is a chance that those third party games are going to get support. And the marketing for that support is going to be given also to those studios. Because people will pay attention. People will be like, you know what? I'm interested to see how it runs. And every time people say they're interested to see how stuff runs, that means good sales for those companies, along with Nintendo. They
I mean,
did it with MLB.
not necessarily.
I mean, uh,
There's been games where people are like, oh, I want to see how it runs. Oh, it runs decently. Well, it doesn't even hit a million, right? And so people are like,
mhm,
oh, well, okay, well, at least they tried, and that's
right.
where like I think Embracer Group is going to try to port some older games, right, for sure, to the
Yes.
Switch. I have no doubt about that. Like, I think one or even both of the Deus Ex games will come. I think at least the first two Tomb Raiders might make it over, or even like the trilogy before, right? Like Legend Anniversary and Underworld.
Yes.
I could see those. I could see them kind of doing like a Legacy of Kain remastered type thing, because they like to remaster those games and put them out.
Right.
We saw that with Saints Row and Red Faction.
Yes. And I think even even if those games don't sell big on Switch, I think there is going to still be some marketing. I think there is going to be people will be like, okay, I might not buy it at $60 or $50, but it's on sale for 30. They offer me some good coins if I buy it through the eShop. Fine. Or Best Buy or Target, they got a good sale. I'm gonna snag these up because I think what will probably happen is that people are going to snag these games if there are actual physical copies on the cartridge, not a physical box with a code inside. I think my the Embracer Group and their developers are going to pay attention to be like, oh, you guys are supporting these games. It may bring questions to be like, where happened to the support on the other consoles? Why are you guys supporting it on here? But they may not even say nothing. They may just actually literally celebrate that, hey, our game sold maybe 500,000 copies on Switch or 20,000 copies.
I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like their expectations are way lower. You know,
yes.
Not that they're not unfair, right? I mean, I'm sure they'd be thrilled if like Tomb Raider came out and sold 10 million copies, and you know, the Tomb Raider 4 or whatever they're calling this next one, right? They wanted to come out and sell 10, 12 million copies. They'd be thrilled, right? But like,
yes,
these remasters and stuff, I can't imagine that Red Faction Guerrilla, the remaster, sold more than like 2 million copies across all platforms, right? Like that game is, I know people like older games and I know they like to see them when they're remastered, but like, come on, you know, Kingdoms of Amalur, I bet that game didn't even sell 1 million units when it got remastered, you know, come on.
Right.
So we'll see, but I'm kind of thinking about Embracer's lineup. They have a great mix of IP right now.
Yes.
You know, a lot of big IP. Borderlands and Tomb Raider are probably their biggest IP now, I would say, right? I would. That's probably easy to say.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Darksiders, I think, is one that is just, I wish they would do something more with that. I know Darksiders 3 was like pretty mediocre. I enjoyed what I played, but I know that it wasn't like a great game or anything. I wish they would do more with Darksiders, because I think if they, I don't know, I feel like that game would be really cool if they put like a big budget behind it.
Yeah, because like that Darksider Genesis didn't really. It was interesting, and that's all I could leave it right there.
I do appreciate that each game tries to do something different.
Yes.
But I also think that really hurts the series. Because people don't know what to expect going into the next one, you know?
Right. The story's kind of confusing at this time, because it's like...
Well, they all take place at the same time, except for Genesis. Genesis is a prequel, but then, like, 2 and 3 take place literally during 1. And it's like, well, this is what, like, 1 kind of bookends 2 and 3, right? Like the beginning of 1 and then the second half of 1 bookend what, because, you know, War kind of gets captured or imprisoned, right? Yeah. And then 2 and 3 are about what happens while War is imprisoned. And then the end of 1 is about him kind of becoming unimprisoned or whatever. I kind of forget the story, but, you know, that's how it kind of goes. And it's like, well, it's a neat concept. It's a neat idea, but like, I kind of want like a big AAA budget reboot of Darksiders, to be honest. Make it like a huge action RPG almost.
Yeah.
Maybe I just have action RPG on the mind because I've been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, I think for the Square side, definitely with Nintendo, you know, we got Chrono Cross, we got Live Alive, we got Dragon Quest 2D HD, and I guess some of their smaller like Triangle Strategy and Octopath Traveler, like these new IPs and some of their smaller games, like Io Setsuna, Oninaki, and stuff hitting Switch, that I'm not saying it's their bread and butter, but it's been doing great for Square, and it's been doing great for Nintendo and the role playing community. And it's I think it's to me it feels like they don't put no pressure, or they don't put no expectancy on those games.
Hmm.
Where it felt like with the West developed games that there was always some kind of expectancy to it. I'm like, but why? It kind of felt unbalanced in a sense, um, because there was none for Kingdom Hearts 3, there was none for Final Fantasy 15, um, there was none for Final Fantasy 7 remake, and it's kind of weird. Just like, why is the West developed games has this high expectancy, and their not their like major games or interesting RPG games.
Hmm.
like even Sleeping Dogs. I'm like, how did y'all expect that to sell a lot, even though it did very well and it sold a lot, and you guys were disappointed? But then, like,
Who developed Sleeping Dogs? That was United Front, right?
yes,
And then they closed after that.
yes. But Embracer Group now it owns Sleeping Dogs.
I
The
mean, that's
series.
another IP that they could totally utilize, right? I mean,
And everybody wants it because Sleeping Dogs was so good. Ooh, please let
I
them
mean,
bring Sleeping Dogs to Switch. I will buy it in a heartbeat.
I mean, I'm not as hot on Sleeping Dogs as a lot of other people are.
You know what? I think I'm hot on it because it's a better open world than a certain other game, and it's a better story. Like I think the story was really great in that game.
Hmm.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't
Oh
mean
no, I didn't. I wasn't saying anything. I was just kind of. I'm looking at these cool new skins in Fortnite I just bought because I'm apparently going to start playing Fortnite now because they have cool skins.
oh,
So, well, I bought the Gears ones, I bought the Master Chief one, I bought the Scarlet Witch one, and I bought the Rey one from Star Wars. So, whoops.
I know they're gonna be like, Corey, you supposed to be podcasting with Ed.
I know.
Like, no,
I'm sorry, the skins just look really cool. I love so side tangent about Fortnite. I don't really care to play the game, but I really appreciate their ability to take all these different IP, right? These and make them kind of look like they fit in the same universe, right? Kind of like it's kind of like Disney Infinity for bigger kids, I guess. I was gonna
yes,
say for adults, but it's for children. Uh, but yeah, I really like the designs of the characters, and I'm like, man, like I wish I was good at the game because it's a good thing I'm not into this game because I would be so poor, especially with like the Marvel stuff and the Star Wars stuff. Like, man. Anyways,
it's the Battle Royale Smash.
I mean, kind of
What?
it is. Kind of. I
Is it?
mean, to be fair. So,
Yes. Uh, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen because at this point in time, people are excited for the purchase, the acquisition, and they're kind of laughing at Square, um, because one of the reasons that Square is kind of like changing their business plan in the sense they're now into like NFTs and blockchain, and they're kind of moving into that front. Um, Even though it's been reported that NFTs are down 80%, like it's losing a lot of interest, and it's not selling very well to a lot of people. Like, and definitely gamers. I, I don't know who has bought an NFT or anything, but
mhm,
it's like people are celebrating that. Hopefully, this thing comes to a death in a sense.
mhm,
Um, and to see Square wanted to move into that because even Sega wanted to move into that, and they backed away from it. Konami, I guess, did something and they got ridiculed for that, but Konami is still, into that. Uh, Square Enix said that in addition, the transaction enables the launch of new business by moving forward with the investments in fields such as blockchains, AI, and the cloud. And we kind of understand, Kingdom Hearts for Switch on cloud and Hitman on cloud didn't really knock it out the park. Now, what AI is kind of interesting because I wonder what they're talking about with that.
I mean, it's just investor speak to me. Like, it's just like, oh, well, we want you to invest. Please, we're going to throw all these buzzwords out and marketing terms, and we hope you give us money. That's what it sounds like to me, So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they sold for this amount of money because that's how much money they lost for, that's how much money they lost with Avengers and, I guess, Guardians.
Well, definitely with those being licensed games, and I know we talked about that. Crystal Dynamics being bought by Microsoft, because I think they're still working on with the initiative to do Perfect Dark.
Yeah, I mean, Crystal Dynamics is making Perfect Dark, so they said that contract is still in place.
Yes. So. I really wonder. So I'm assuming next year we'll probably see that game.
Yeah.
Like for release wise. And then we'll probably see Unreal Engine 5 for Tomb Raider. And hopefully the Embracer Group really have their companies do some kind of new IP or something for Nintendo Switch, because the system is still selling and people are still having interest in games coming to that platform. What do you think, Corey?
I mean, I really don't know what to think, to be honest. I have too many thoughts on like Square and Embracer and these companies and all this, I mean.
Well, I think the biggest, I think if we talk about news at the end of the year, what's been the biggest news is all going to be about acquisitions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the acquisitions are like the big. That is the big news because like. It's weird because like I'm not an economist. I don't really know how money works, but apparently, from what I've heard, money. I don't know how this works because I'm dumb, right? But like, apparently, money is cheaper right now than it ever has been. So it's good to spend the money now because it's gonna make your whatever you purchase more valuable when the market goes back up.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's trying to buy everything they can before the market goes back up, right? And I think that's why we're seeing all these acquisitions.
Yeah, I actually was reading that Nintendo is now making or is up to $1.8 billion in revenue just on mobile games, and most of that came from Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah.
So if Nintendo is making tons of money, they're holding on kind of to almost every dollar that they can until it's time for them. They feel like they need to invest in buying a company or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think when we talk about these acquisitions and everything, it's going to be like, what is going to we're going to all want to see what the product is. And for right now, for a lot of this, we probably won't see nothing until next year or 2 years from now. Because what happens when the Western Division being gone for Square Enix, how is Square Enix going to look with just only all of these Japanese games on these platforms? After Forspoken comes out.
Hmm.
How it's going to look when Final Fantasy 16 finally comes out. Of course they have Final Fantasy 14 making no money, but how is Square going to look after everything, after all just their big Eastern games come out? Because are they going to be still using Unreal Engine 5, or are they going to be switching their whole games to their own Luminous engine?
Well, I think they're moving most of their games to Unreal. I think that seems to be the consensus, right? Forspoken's on Unreal, Final Fantasy 16's on Unreal. I don't know any game that is running on Luminous Engine anymore, except for maybe Final Fantasy 14.
I thought Spoken was.
Hold on, let me check. I thought originally it was, but then
Or did they switch it?
maybe it was.
I know Kingdom Hearts. I know
Maybe
Kingdom
it-
Hearts 3 was
Okay,
switched to Unreal
no,
Engine 5.
you're right. Forspoken is on Luminous. I must have been thinking about Kingdom Hearts because I know Kingdom Hearts 3 and 4 are running on Unreal.
Yes. Yeah, because they did switch it to Unreal Engine 5. I mean, Unreal Engine 4
4.
for Kingdom Hearts 3. And now they're doing it for 5.
I tried to mute myself and I wouldn't mute, so I had to hold it in.
Because now I wonder, Final
Final-
Fantasy 7 Remake 2, I wonder if that's going to be on Unreal.
It is on Unreal. Final Fantasy 7 and 16 are both on Unreal.
Unreal.
I just looked it up. According to a quick Google search.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyways, good times. It's funny though, because like the only reason at this point why I would get a PlayStation 5 would be for these Square games, right? I mean, they're the games that are holding my interest. Not that like Horizon and God of War aren't, but like I really want to play. So I know I've been on this multiple shows saying how much I don't really care for Final Fantasy 7, the original. But Final Fantasy VII Remake looks so good and so fun, and Final Fantasy 16 looks fun, and Forspoken looks kind of weird and wacky and fun, and I think that main character is kind of cool, and
Yes.
it's those games that have me interested in PlayStation at this point. And I just Square seems like a company. They seem like Capcom was like 10 years ago, right? Remember when Capcom was like real down and people were like, is Capcom going to exist in 5 years? And then they came out with, Resident Evil 7, Monster Hunter World, then Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Street Fighter 5, right? Like,
Yeah.
that was around the time, like, Street Fighter 5 was like the game is good, but they're really like, what are they doing? And then they came out with a bunch of bangers, Mega Man 11,
Yes.
and now Capcom is like one of the best Japanese studios right now.
It's back to being known like they were in the NES, Super NES days.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And like Square is kind of like, not that they're that low, but I feel like they're just now on their way back up, kind of figuring out who they are again.
Yes.
And they want to do what they are best at, and that is big AAA RPGs, and then these like kind of AA experiences on Switch. That is what Square is good at. That's what they've always been good at. And I think they're just trying to shed the weight that is holding them back, essentially, right? Like, it's kind of surprising that they're still publishing Outriders or whatever the sequel is, or if they're gonna. Apparently, Outriders did good enough to warrant some DLC or something. I like Outriders. I ended up buying it, even though it's on Game Pass. But I love Outriders. It's an awesome game.
I was thinking of it. I'm probably going to end up installing it. because I just installed Ukulele because I want to finish that. And I think I'm like once I finish it, I think I'm gonna take it off and switch it to Outriders because I do want to finish that game.
Hmm.
Let me
Yeah,
think.
and so it's just like I wonder if we're hitting that point with Square where like I wonder if they sold this half to Embracer so they could be purchased by Sony. That's my thought.
I feel like I feel like why do I kind of feel like that Square and Sony just wouldn't have a place together.
What are
There's
you
something.
talking about? They've been in bed together since the PlayStation 1. What are you
I,
talking
I
about?
mean, I
Every
mean,
Final Fantasy game, every
has
kind
been
of
on it
like
because of the N64. I know I just record. I know that whole story,
I'm going to
but
slap you.
I guess I feel like with the direction that Sony wants to go, and they're talking about single player experiences and all of this stuff,
Hmm.
um, and Sony not really having a RPG kind of development company side to them. I, I just don't. I think there's something about Sony and Square that I'm just like, I don't know. There's something off about it to me, and it may be because of them putting these big games on Sony's platform. But once they came back to Nintendo putting games on their platform, more talk of Square has been connected back to Nintendo than it has to Sony, in
I
a
mean,
sense.
I think it just depends. I think it's a game by game basis. I think Final
Hmm.
Fantasy VII and Kingdom Hearts and Forspoken are all in the mindsets of people who primarily play on PlayStation and Xbox because it's in the PlayStation conversation because they're getting those games, and it's in the Xbox conversation because they're wondering when the timed exclusivity is going to be up, you know.
Yeah, but
And
then
then
it.
and
Oh, go
then
ahead.
well, to my point was like Nintendo fans are excited because they're getting those classic Square kind of RPGs, right, with Octopath and this not Final Fantasy Tactics game that I always forget the name of, and Dragon Quest is a big deal for Nintendo, right? Like that's kind of seems to where Dragon Quest found a home is Nintendo primarily. I mean, we talked about how yeah, it went to PlayStation first, but the Switch version got the quote unquote definitive edition and the 2D edition that only came to 3DS in Japan, and
Yeah,
uh, I think that I think that Square just is trying to make. I think they're splitting the audience because they have to, and I think Square they're not in trouble, but I think they're making financial decisions based on uh like they're making a strategy based on their financial situation is what I'm kind of getting at, and
hmm,
they can afford to make these smaller experiences. And the thing is like Sony's paying for their exclusivity, right? But Nintendo's
yes,
also paying for this exclusivity because Nintendo is publishing all these games in the West. They published Octopath Traveler. You look at the Switch binding, Nintendo published Octopath Traveler. They
yeah,
published Bravely Default. So like yeah, Square has a publishing arm, but they're still making publishing deals with these companies, and it's like, well, what are you doing? Like, are you in trouble? Because that tells me that they're in trouble, or like they don't feel comfortable enough financially to publish these games themselves and hope that people buy them on the platforms.
right. Because like Final Fantasy VII remake, that was all Square. I think Sony just got the exclusive
Yeah,
to it,
they paid for that though.
but they didn't publish it like
No, but
Nintendo did.
I didn't mean Sony was publishing these Final Fantasy games. My point
Mm,
was that Sony is paying for these exclusivity, which is helping
yes,
fund these games. Was my
yes,
point, right? So, yeah, Sony could say Final Fantasy VII Remake's budget was $200 million, and Sony paid $75 million for the exclusivity. I
hmm,
mean, that's a big chunk of the game you just paid for that you don't have to worry about funding yourself, right?
yes.
So not those aren't real numbers. I was just using that as like a
It's a yeah.
X to Y conversation.
And I think looking at your example, and the reason why I said it that way, is because like if Nintendo's paying for their exclusivity and doing the publishing, and Sony's doing the exclusive not doing the publishing, it kind of tells just like it kind of feels like I don't know, is Nintendo working harder or is Nintendo just like from a business standpoint that hey, we definitely love what you guys are doing and we want to keep it onto our system. You know, if it comes with a time exclusive, because of the time that we miss when during that PS1, PS2 era, we want to make sure that if you bring a game to our system, that it benefits us both. Where Sony would just feel like, well, we got the most recognizable names. You know, we got Final Fantasy. That's one of the biggest titles in any JRPG at all. That'll come up in any conversation. And you know, you only could really get that experience on our console. Nintendo, you lost that after the N64 era.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Nintendo's been fighting for a good relationship with Square ever since then, and like, I feel like, yeah, we got a couple titles on the GameCube and the Wii, right? We really didn't get anything on the Wii U from Square. A lot of that was on the 3DS, and so I think Nintendo has been slowly rebuilding that relationship, and obviously we've had leadership changes a couple times since then, and you know, it's been better, but also like I think Nintendo platforms are just better for these types of games as opposed to people who own a PlayStation 5 want to see the power of that console, and this is where your AAA games are going to live. And I think aside from these companies paying for that exclusivity or timed exclusivity or whatever, Square's making these decisions, and you know, if we make smaller games and sell X amount, it's technically more profitable than if we sold X amount of this AAA title. And you know, people like these smaller experiences on handheld or mobile device, so we're going to make these for Switch so we can fund these bigger projects for this bigger console. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me and Austin kind of had this talk about that, in a sense. I'm not saying with selling the small games in front of the big games. I was kind of talking to him, just be like, I always wonder when it with not to Series X or PlayStation 5, but I wonder is this big experience that they and these big stories that they want to tell and all of this funding, is this going more into the cutscenes or is this really going into the gameplay ideas? Compared to where it feels like when the smarter games come out for Nintendo, you know, it's more of the gameplay and sometimes just creative moments and the dialogue with the stories and stuff. You know, it's kind of, it feels so weird with Square and some of the other third party that it's just like these big consoles, they're good for flashy cutscenes and cinematics, but nothing else when it comes to the gameplay. But with Nintendo, it is like kind of like gameplay and story, you know. And if we do see a cool cutscene cinematic, we'll point it out and talk about that. You know, it's kind of like a more of a combination on Nintendo than the other platforms.
Yeah,
because I just feel like your 200 million budget, it feels like most of that is on the cutscenes than it is on the gameplay or anything. Well, probably the graphics and the world building and, you know, all of these teams coming in to develop the game. But I think that's why when I see stuff like a trailer for E3 or a trailer for this big game or state of play or whatever, that I'm like, when I see more cutscene stuff, I feel like this is where most of your budget went than it is to the actual what I'm going to be experienced when I'm actually playing your game. Because I could say the same thing for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but they at least kind of made a balance of, okay, our game may be $60 million in budget, but you see the animation, you see the voice acting and stuff, but here is the gameplay reveal. So we kind of balance everything. In a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I don't know where to go from here. I think that I feel like I'm talking in circles again at this point. But Square, I think Square's looking to be purchased. They're not going to come out and say it. This sale to Embracer was to, undo, like, I don't know. I think them not having the Western arm makes them more appealing because they will be cheaper, but they'll still, you know what I mean? Like, I think they will be cheaper to purchase without the Western division. And they sold them for this amount of money because it's the amount of money that they lost on Avengers and Guardians and the Marvel deal. And this is how they make it up. And now they're quote unquote profitable with these games because they sold the studios, and that makes them look good. It puts them back in the black. They no longer have to pay, salaries and insurance and all these other things for these companies. And, so that takes a lot of money off their books too. And it makes them more appealing to purchase.
And I will say, if Sony does buy them, Sony is bringing that money. They're not playing around. They're not going to be like, oh,
no, it's going to be a Bungie deal. It's going to be billions, right?
It's going to be billions.
Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest alone are worth that.
I'm thinking 45 billion.
No, it's not going to be that much. It's going to be
Square Enix.
It's going to be about like Bethesda. I think it's going to be about 6 or 7.
I would be shocked if it's because
it's going to be like a Bethesda deal. I think Square's not that big of a company.
But with all that IP though, that's
the thing. They don't have a lot of. I mean, they do have a lot of IP, but I mean, in terms of like valuable IP, they really only have like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. Like those are I mean, when you think of Square Enix, you think of Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. You don't really think of anything else.
Well, Chrono Trigger, but they haven't did nothing really with that.
Yeah, but that was like 30 years ago. Nobody.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
a series that's been a continuation throughout the video game consoles. Yeah. Definitely will be Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest.
Yeah. Nier is another game that they own.
Oh yeah.
I'm just looking at a list of their IP. Valkyrie Profile, I guess.
Yeah, because that started on Sony's console.
Yeah.
I think PlayStation 1 started off.
Star Ocean.
Star Ocean is very...
I'm just looking. So... Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts. Duh.
Yeah.
I mean, they have valuable IP, but like... I mean, I named off 5. Like, Bethesda has Doom, Wolfenstein... Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and what, right? So to me, this is equivalent to the Bethesda deal if they were to be purchased.
But I just thought 45 billion is because of Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy being a higher tier. Definitely when it comes to Japan itself, I would be shocked. That's why I feel like the $8 or $10 billion. I think that just feels low for some reason, and I think it's because
they just sold like 3 of their biggest studios for $300 million. That's my thing. Is like, okay, I get why they did it that low, but also like, Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest are big, no doubt. But
yes,
and Kingdom Hearts, huge, right?
yes.
But Square's not a big studio. Like Bungie is bigger than Square Enix.
Which I would be shocked because I thought Squaresoft and Enix, because they used to be big companies coming together will form a bigger company. But that's early 2000 when they merged together.
So Square Enix is about a third the size of Ubisoft.
In Japan,
they have about 5,000 employees.
Okay. I really thought it was bigger for some reason. I mean that's a really big number. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. And Bungie has about 8 million, and they sold for 3.6 billion. So this I'm telling you, it's going to be between $6 and $8 billion for Square. Roughly about what they're worth, I think.
I would be shocked if Sony, if they agree to that.
That also because Sony doesn't have that much money on hand, right? They had to take out a loan to purchase Bungie,
which is a shock because I'm just like, hold on, wait a minute, you guys sold all of those PS4s. What happened to that money?
But they only made they didn't even make $10 per console for the first year or two.
Oh yes, they all took a loss. Yes, and plus that PS4 was the only thing holding Sony up because they weren't in the black in a while. Because
Sony as a whole, the whole company is only worth $135 billion in net worth. So they're not going to spend half of their net worth on a video game company. They're just not. They're not. Because they have too many other divisions, right? They have their movie division. They have
their music division.
Music, TV, TV shows, TV units, like their electronics stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they have too many verticals to be spending that kind of money on Square. It's going to be less than 10 million, I'm telling you. 10 billion, sorry.
That's so shocking because Square Enix is kind of like, it may just be me, but I feel like Square Enix is kind of like the biggest third-party company in Japan.
I mean,
so that's why I was just, I think that's why I would argue
Bandai Namco is bigger than them.
Oh yeah, now they are, because Namco, before Bandai bought them, were Namco was producing a lot of games, licensed games, and great original games. But I kind of felt like, their bread and butter was Tekken and Soul Calibur, because in not Virtual Cop.
I lied. Square is about 6 times bigger than Bandai Namco in terms of employee count. There's only 710 employees that work for Bandai Namco.
What?
Whoops.
How are they making all of these games?
I mean, a lot of their stuff is outsourced, right? And you think of the Smash team, you think of Super Smash Brothers, that team's only about 70 people. Plus Nintendo is helping,
Yes.
And all of the Dark Souls and games are made from FromSoft, which isn't part of Bandai Namco.
Right.
So
because they just only published the game.
And you have companies like Hamster and stuff working on the arcade games, so those are all outsourced. So I mean, what do you have 710 employees for? All the anime Shonen Jump stuff?
Yeah, but I really thought that Bandai Namco would be big, but because Bandai was more of an anime and like TV and film kind of company, because definitely, they have Power Rangers and, like you said, Shonen Jump. Like they got all of that stuff. You would think that with them merging with Namco, they would be in maybe 1,500. Like they would grow the business and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, if
Um,
you're running efficiently and you put out what you have, it's not like you don't need to grow. You just need to grow financially. You don't need to grow in terms of
mhm.
personnel if they're working well. You don't want more employees. You want less employees and sell more. That's how you make your money.
Well, yeah, but you would think
The,
that when
the less people you have to pay, the more money you make.
oh wow, well that is true. Can't deny it. I just thought that with the merge of Bandai with Namco, that they would be bigger.
Nope.
Because
Sorry.
Koei Tecmo is probably not even that big neither there.
I mean, I doubt it.
Because
What
Tecmo
Omega
wasn't.
Force is probably their biggest studio, right?
I think so, yeah. Because Tecmo wasn't that big. They weren't even that big in the 80s and 90s when Ninja Gaiden was out and Tecmo Bowl was out. Like they were putting out great games, but they weren't a big company
Hmm.
and stuff. And I think they didn't even get. I think they probably, if they did get big, it probably wasn't to the PS2 era, or maybe Dead or Alive era.
Koei Tecmo has almost 2,000 employees.
Oh dang.
So, wrong again, Ed. Sorry.
Well, that's why I said
Anyways.
I thought they would have. I thought they would have less because because Tecmo was, like I said, back in the 80s and 90s. Tecmo was small.
Oh, I know.
You know.
Every company was small back then.
Oh yeah.
So,
But you wouldn't think that now they would have a number like that, because like, how was Kobe Tecmo
I don't
bigger
know.
than
We're way
Namco?
off topic though. So,
This is special pass, so we're not really on topic.
I know. But
So, but like I said, I am happy for this acquisition. I hope they do bring games to Switch. I'm excited to see what goes for what goes forth. I think we're going to be paying attention to the Embracer group, and hey, maybe we see some of their games in the Nintendo Direct.
I think you should be paying attention to Embracer Group anyway. I mean, they've been
Yeah,
around for a while. I think if you aren't paying attention now, you should be. And if you have, I think they're going to surprise some people in the coming years. So,
yeah, I agree. Um, with this acquisition of their Square Enix Western development, uh, yeah, they now become on our radar here. But everybody, that's gonna be it for Nintendo Expansion Pass. We want to hear what you guys think. Like, what are your thoughts about the acquisition? What are your thoughts about Square Enix? Thoughts about Embracer Group? What games would you love to see them port or even bring to Nintendo Switch? We really want to hear that. And also, everybody, if you're not a producer of our show, you really can become one. Corey, how do they become a producer?
it's been a it's been a long day. So yeah, remember you can get all of our content free. It's all free. But if you want early access to Expansion Pass as well as the Boss Rush podcast, After Dark, and Standard Definition, you can head on over to patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, and you can get all that for $1. But if you want to be a Patreon producer, you can hit that $5 tier, and you would get your name shouted out on this here podcast. So, without further ado, our $5 producer tier patrons are as follows: Quentin Jackson, Rebecca Jewell, Adrielle Munger, and my wife, Sana Durig. So, I want to thank all of our patrons. We really appreciate you. We appreciate all of our listeners. Remember, again, all of our content is free, but if you want some of it early and just, a perk here or there, you can head on over to Patreon.
Yes. Corey, where can we find you?
Oh yeah, you can find me at I am Corey HD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast. You can find me on Nintendo Power Block, obviously, and Standard Definition. So yeah, go team.
Yes. You can find me at that Retro Code on Twitter and on Instagram. You can find me hosting the Nintendo Power Block on Nintendo Expansion Pass and other podcasts. You guys can find me on the internet about. With that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.